Hello everyone and welcome to another speed build with Velvet. So today we are building this beauty and it is a modern 2-bedroom starter home. So I have actually built this with a limited pack budget as I could call it. So the packs are just all the expansion packs with the exception of Horse Ranch, because funny story, I was going through my files and I found this recorded, built, all ready to go, except for a tour, just sitting there in my files, and I had completely forgotten about it. And I built it way back in July, I think. Must have been just before Horse Ranch came out. Although I'm very vague on time, so I can't remember when Horse Ranch came out, but that seems about right. I think it was July. So yeah, I was quite excited to actually watch this with you guys, because I don't remember too much of this build myself. I have a vague memory of building it now that I'm sort of watching it, but when I looked at it I was like, when did I do that? I don't remember this. But yeah, I have got vague memories of building it now, but it's just one of those funny things that I had just recorded it, saved it in my files, and just completely forgotten about it. And, you know, I do love a good modern build. It's probably my favourite way to build, although I don't know, I just love building, so I'm not going to pick favourites. It's like picking your favourite children. But I do love a modern build. It's probably... I was about to pick favourites again. Oh dear. Anyway, you can see the house starting to take shape. And the thing with this actually being a starter build is this is quite an expensive shape. Because, you know, building all those columns and giving the house a shape this way is expensive, particularly as I get more of the shape happening. You can sort of see I'll have columns and stuff like that, and I mean, they're not cheap, particularly when you've got to spend under or around about 20k on it all, and it's like, you know, because like some of those sticky out bits, as I call them the right professional name for them, sticky out bits. You know, they all cost money because walls are expensive. So, you know, it is a risky move having that much shape in a starter home, but you know, I'm a risk taker sometimes. So this is more shape going into the side of the building. So my thought process behind that is I like to give definition to the columns. So you can do the faux column thing where you just do the colours, so you sort of give the impression of the faux columns, but where I can, I do prefer to shape the columns out separately from the walls so that you can actually see the definition of the columns, and they're kind of like a thing on their own, as you can sort of see there on the side. So yeah, that is my preference when I can get away with it, and I think it looks better than a faux column. But nothing against the faux column, because sometimes you do what you do and that's all good. So in terms of the colour palette and stuff, I actually wanted to do quite neutral colours, and I ended up going quite black, white and grey, certainly on the outside, and then I broke it up a little bit with brown on the inside, but when we get to that I'll talk about that a little bit more. So just getting the floor plan there, started just thinking about how it was all going to be sort of laid out and that, but that's, yeah, basically how the floor plan will go. I will go back to the outside after I've got the inside done, because when it comes to a starter home, I will do the shell of the house first and then go inside, because at the end of the day, when it comes to landscaping, that's probably the least important part of a starter home. But because I'm doing, I'll use debug for a lot of the landscaping. It doesn't add value to the build, but it just makes it look pretty. So it's all going to sort of be free landscaping and that sort of thing. Anyway, but I do like to actually put in proper stuff if I can afford it on a starter home. By proper stuff, I mean stuff that you pay for, because that adds value to the build. And that's money for your son, basically. So inside, you can see I'm starting to shape the kitchen. So what I'm using in the kitchen is the Country Living counters, and I am using the City Living cheapest possible used fridge, and I'm not sure what oven that was, but I imagine it was the cheap one. So I've got the shape of the kitchen, so I'm going to have like a little half bath here, so it's just going to be a kitchen and sink, and that's going to be like a guest bathroom, really, going in there. And the thing that I like about doing this as a limited pack build with the EPs is that some of the EPs have much cheaper stuff than the base game options, so you can actually go quite cheap with some of, like, you know, stuff like Eco Living. I mean, a lot of that stuff is really cheap, so it gives you so many more options for what you can build with in the starter home, which I absolutely love. I don't often use like all of the packs when I'm doing a starter home. I don't know why, but I don't. More often than not, I would do like a base game starter home, or a base game and one particular pack. I think just mainly to make it more accessible for people on the gallery and stuff to download. That's really the idea behind that. Okay, so I am doing like a little divider in the front area. I just kind of felt that I needed something there just to separate the lounge and the living from the entrance area, and I put the bookshelf on the end of the kitchen because, again, I wanted to have something that separated the kitchen from the living area a little bit. It's just to give the illusion of separation more than anything, because I didn't want to put too many walls and stuff in there, because, as I've mentioned, walls are expensive. So I'm just trying to save money where I can, and, you know, things like I'm using the snowy escape windows there, so things like that, and the eco living windows, and they're much cheaper than, you know, like the base game big pane windows. They're like over 200 simoleons, whereas these are like, I don't know, 40 or 50 simoleons, and that's a big difference when you're building a starter home. So yeah, I really enjoyed having the flexibility there, and actually being able to choose beds that weren't the really awful base game basic bed. So I think I've got the high school year beds in there, which I really, really like. So it is really starting to take shape. I haven't decided on the colours that I'm going with on the interior. I was conscious of the fact that because I went with black furnishing, I was going to need to use something that contrasted that and lightened the room a little bit, because I didn't want it to be like dark and gloomy. So I ended up going with I don't know if I stick with this white flooring, let's see what I do. But I used the Eco Living wall panels, the wood panels, and I think that added like a nice amount of warmth to the build. And then I've got the fun job of trying to select the rugs that I want to have in the rooms. And obviously having the options with the different packs, you know, is quite lovely, rather than just having it as base game rugs. So see, I'm adding like pops of colour there with the rugs, and I even got curtains in there, because we've got the nice cheap curtains from Eco Living, which is like, curtains in a starter home, rugs in a starter home. I even managed to like get some decorations, I think, on the end tables. So I got the growing together end tables going there. I will get rid of some of the stuff as we get on in the build, because as you can see there, I'm down to 1800 simoleons. And I still want to get a few bits and pieces into the house, and yeah, a little bit on the outside as well to be done. So we'll get there though, and yeah, so I will sell some of the bits and pieces because I just couldn't quite afford to have decorations that cost money. But I managed to find some free stuff in debug, so that was kind of perfect. So we've even got like a TV in here, and just put something up on the wall there from Snowy Escape, and a shelving unit. I was trying to remember the name of it. I was like, what is that called again? Like a shelving? Yeah. And yeah, I will get some plants and bits and pieces in there. So, you know, there's going to be quite a bit of actual decoration in a starter home, which, yeah, is nice. It's actually quite, I think, sim friendly because you've got a really nice large kitchen, so you can do your cooking and bits and pieces. Obviously, I mean that's the basic, but there's a TV there. I don't know if I fit a computer in here or not. I can't quite remember that. But I mean a TV. Well, maybe I don't even keep the TV. I won't count my chickens till they're hatched. I think with this. Because I'm down to 800 simoleons, so I think the money is dwindling very rapidly. I know for a fact I do keep the little hall, the hall closet thing. Oh yeah, and the chest table goes on there. That's right, I remember that. That stays there too. Oh, I've got a light on the window there. I assume I move that later. I can see that by the door. So just working on what I want to do with the rugs. I was conscious of not going too dark on the rugs because I mean there's already dark furnishing there. Okay, now it is time to delve into debug. So what was fun about this is that it wasn't just base game, it was all the other EP packs with their debug options as well. So more often than not when I'm doing this, because I mentioned before I'm doing it base game and maybe one other pack for a lot of starter homes. So this was actually quite fun playing with some of the other pack debugs. I'm just like, oh, that's quite cool, and that's quite I can use that, and I can do this, and that was actually a lot of fun. So, you know, I sort of, what was I going to say? Oh, because I got distracted. I was going to say the little round planter that I put around the back. That was very cool. I actually really like that. I think that was from Get Together. I think there's actually quite a few cool things from that in terms of debug from that pack, I think. But there was, yeah, it was nice to choose some different things. What I'm looking for at the moment is fencing. I was looking at pavers and whether or not there was a pavement option, but yeah, what I'm looking at the moment is useful things and mainly for fencing. But I found this light from Snowy Escape, which is like, I can save some money with that. That can go by the beds. Perfect. Free light. I love it. So, and then I found that light, and I was like, oh, I can sell that flower. And hey, look at that! I'm back to 600 simoleons. It's a bit of money in the bank there, which is always nice to have. So, just looking at different plant options. There was actually not as many plant options as I thought. There was like quite a lot of base game plant options, but I wanted to try and use non-base game debug where I could. Yeah, so I was actually quite surprised with the lack of plants from these other pack debugs. So I guess like the base game plants get a lot of use with that. And as you can see, I've got a nice little square planter there. I'm kind of using that as, instead of using, you know, like how you draw the half wall gardens and those sort of spaces, it's kind of what I'm doing instead of those, because obviously I didn't want to pay for the half walls. So I'm still looking at fencing at this point because I wanted to see whether or not I could get a free fence happening, and I think this is the choice that I end up going with, because I wanted to keep the outside of the build was still quite lively, and I thought the green actually worked really nicely for that. So you'll see me getting that around the property there. And I mean, it's not like a huge lot. I think this is only a 30 by 20. Yeah, it's definitely a 30 by 20. So it's not like I've got heaps of backspace room or anything like that, and it's not designed as like it's going to have like heaps of room for like kids around the back or anything. So it's more sort of like a working family home, maybe flatmates or something like that. It's kind of the idea, but I mean, you can turn it into whatever you like, can't you? So if you want to put like loads of kids in there, go for it. There's probably space. Just delete a few things. Yeah, it'll be all good. So I am just getting some more decoration in there. As I find little bits and pieces, I'm like, oh, sweet, free plants. I will have those. Thank you very much. Oh, and then I had the fun job of trying to work out what plant I could get into these planters, because when you've got stuff close to the walls, when you're dealing with debug stuff, or even like non-debug stuff, it's a bit funny to place, because it can like float in the air and all sorts of things. Now, I do not know why I did not put plants in the planters that I put by the doors. I have actually fixed that, so when it goes up on the gallery, you'll see it has some little plants in the planter holders by the door. But yeah, I have no idea why I didn't put anything in there. It was one of those weird oversights. So I'm just switching around the tree that's around the back, and I put like a planter on the back porch, just add something to the porch there. I'll actually put some what do I call it, fencing some fencing to the back porch as well, just to add a bit more life to it. And again, I'm just working out what tree I want to put there and how that's all going to work. So I'm just playing with the idea of doing like a planter kind of fence, but I was like, nah. So we are down to 448 simoleons, and we have still got a little bit of more landscaping to do. So just trying to find the right tree. So I'm just having a look through the base game stuff at the moment, because I was like, I felt like I had exhausted the EP pack debug stuff, so I am resorting to base game. Oh no, not base game. Base game is forever handy. Love that base game. It's always got what you need. So just doing some basic little fencing there, stretching out the stairs, simply because it was going to look funny if I didn't. Because I couldn't get that debug fencing to sit one grid. So that's why I did that, if you're wondering. If you're not wondering, then now you know anyway. So just putting in the cheapest, a nice cheap bin and the mailbox around the front, and using the terrain paint to add in some pathways and also a driveway for the car. So that's going in there. Lovely jubbly, and it's the free way of just adding some life to the build on the outside, I think. So I am using some of my dwindling cash to purchase an actual bench, and I'm just putting in a garden patch as well, because I thought, you know, you want to have some options for making money in a starter home. So I thought, well, skill building, money making, perfect. And you've got like logic with the chess set and stuff inside as well. So that's our build, easy as that. So let's take a tour, going round and round we go. So you can see all the fencing going around. I think it adds a bit more, yeah, as I said, life to the build, but without going too crazy with the plants and that sort of thing. Because it is a modern build, so you know, you want to keep it within the vibe of the modern build. You sort of see inside there a little bit, and there's the back porch too. And then going up around the side, you can see the columns there that we worked on in terms of giving those shape and dimension. And going around back to the front again. So let's go inside and take a wee look. So as I mentioned, I do get some plants in those little planters by the door. So this is the inside, and I think considering this is a starter home, I mean, you've got like 3 couches, a TV, bookshelf, you've got a breakfast counter, you've got a hall coat hanger thing, a chess set, yeah, plants, decorations, rugs. Yeah, wow, I think that's pretty good for a starter home. I would be stoked with that for 20k. That's not too bad at all. And all fully functioning. It all works just fine. There's nothing too tricksy in there in terms of spacing or anything like that that should trip up a sim. And there's plenty of seating there, so if it is sort of a flatmate situation or a family situation, then you know, everyone can have a seat, and it's like an actual decent bed that isn't like a starter bed. And I think that's nice in a starter home to have like a bed that is like slightly better than a starter bed. And even like with a nice rug and a nice side table and stuff, and a free light, which is a nice discovery. And curtains. So as you can see the layout there, so we've got the kitchen and living and the 3 bathrooms and the 2 bedrooms. Pretty straightforward layout, but yeah, pretty simple, but I think it's good. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next build or video. See you then. Bye.